Hi, this is Kylie Koo. Welcome to my studio and welcome to week 26 of creating a positivity deck. And the prompt for this week is create. So as always, I will just take a moment to write my prompt word into my little journal. But as I did last week, I'm not actually going to journal out my thoughts until I've completed my positivity card. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because during this creative state of being, I want to just change things round a little bit. Now this week, I invite you to sit down and do your card, but to actually clear your mind of everything. Last week I spoke about art with intention, about working intuitively. Forget all that. We don't need labels for art. We are creative beings and it's just about creating. But I decided that to get myself into the frame of mind for doing this, I was actually going to look at one or two of my previous positivity deck cards, almost just to feel the kind of energy that was coming from them to get me now into the frame of mind to create. And this, I think, will be one of the ways I might use my positivity cards in future. So I'm just going through them. Some I knew which ones I wanted, other ones I just wanted to take a moment or two to go through my cards and pick out the ones that I wanted to focus on for a moment or two. Now, create seems such a simple word in a sense as part of the creativity state of being, and I did swither about whether or not to use it, but you know, it's one of those words, it just has to be there. So I'm currently keeping my cards in this little kind of hobby box, and at some point in the not too distant I'm actually going to make a separate bespoke box for the cards to stay in. So the cards that I picked out were breathe, just remembering that I wanted to kind of slow down and breathe into this. Balance, because I'd been doing other things earlier and it was remembering that I need that balance in my life. Sanctuary, just that quietness, and art and craft is definitely my sanctuary. And energy, because energy in its creative shape comes in different forms, I think. It can be slow, it can be fast, but I just took a moment or two to sit with my cards before I started. So I invite you just to sit down and make your card without any thought of anything. I say that, but at the same time I know that you know, I can't switch my brain off. There's always something going through it. But by the same token, creating does help me switch it to a slightly different pace, and that's what I'm trying to do through this. So I'm not thinking about intuitive art, I'm not thinking about art with intention, I'm just thinking create, just draw on the materials that I've got and create a card. Now my process here is quite straightforward and I'll show each item that I use to you as I go along. But I do want to allow you just to get into the kind of flow of what I'm doing here. So I'm going to put most of the rest of this video to music, but I'll come in again towards the end when I start to journal. Now apologies that there's some shadows on the film today. It was very, very bright sunshine when I was recording this, and I always have that dilemma as to whether or not to block the sunshine out, but I was enjoying it so much I left it as is, so apologies, but there will be a little bit of shadow. So I had no pre-thoughts about what was going to be on this card. I just drew on the materials there, and it is what it is in the end. So as I say, the rest I'll put to music, but I'll come back in towards the end. And so my card is nearing completion. It was a surprise to see what had appeared. I don't necessarily understand what appeared, but really that does not matter. The point is, I just sat down to create. Now, if sitting down and facing the blank page or the blank card is something that concerns you, then I would suggest that you just develop a little mantra. So face your card or your paper and just say something like, I am a creative being. I can create. I will create. And just try and not overthink it. And for the journaling exercise this week, I decided that I would just try and capture how I felt while actually sitting creating this card. Now you would see through the process there were many layers to it. I covered some things up, I went over things. That's all part of the creative process. It's not about having got things wrong, it's just about building those layers, which for me is part of the joy of mixed media. And now I am so used to doing positivity cards that I don't even need to sit and think about this is a positivity card. As soon as I take one of these cards out to create, I know that I'm going to imbue it with positivity. So just jotting down a few thoughts. One was that I felt at one with myself while I was actually sitting creating. That art is my sanctuary, or at least a part of it, and of course that pulled on that card that I'd drawn out earlier. The reason I said part of it is because if you've been following along, you know that my garden is also my sanctuary. I felt focused. I don't know that that's how you spell focused. I don't know it's got a double S, but that doesn't matter. It's my journal, and if the spelling's wrong, it really doesn't matter. And I also felt quieter. My mind was definitely quieter. It wasn't racing as much. There wasn't quite as many thoughts going through it per second as usual. So I just felt calmer and quieter, going with the flow and in the zone. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's video, and I hope you will find time to create. As always, I thank you for all the kind comments that you leave, and I hope you have a creative week ahead. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.